Hi, welcome back. Again, this is Brandolyn Gorman, and today I am wanting to give you my testimony about my first marriage. It's not my favorite thing to talk about, but it happened, and I think that anything that you go through is worth telling because, for one, you're never alone, and there's always somebody going through it or going to go through it or has gone through it. And so I think it's our job as Christians to tell our testimonies, and that's exactly what the Lord tells us to do in His Word, is to tell our testimonies, the good, bad, and the ugly. So here's kind of some of my ugly. Okay, so my first marriage, not pretty. It was not good. It did not go well. It did not end well. It was ugly. So I was new to the faith. I claimed that I was saved at 23 years old. So I think we are about a year, maybe two into this. Okay. I'm really bad at dates. I go back and I listen to my videos and I'm like, man, that's not what I meant to say. That's the wrong date. It doesn't change the story any, okay? So just bear with me. So, anyways, I was fairly new to the faith, and I had kind of gone through a pretty bad breakup for me. It was pretty heartbreaking for me at the time. And again, I was early 20s. Like, my brain's not even fully developed yet. And I guess your brain fully develops about 25, 26 years old, right? So, I went through a pretty bad breakup. And then this guy shows up in my life, right? He just kind of sweeps in. A friend of mine set me up with him because he said he was a Christian. So apparently all Christians need to be together. And so I was pretty desperate because, again, I had daddy issues, rejection issues, abandonment issues, and a lot of time in my life I found my identity in a guy. So another ugly thing to have to admit to the world, but it's true. So I ended up going out with this guy, and again, like he's saying he's a Christian. Hindsight, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, and I say that not to judge his heart. I say that because you'll hear a little bit more now. I pray that he has changed, but I don't know. I haven't heard or talked to him in a long time. But anyways, that's why I'm not going to give his name or anything else. But anyways, I never was really attracted to this guy. I was never really in love with him. He was pretty much a rebound, but I felt really afraid. See, there's that fear always coming back up, right? That fear. This time I was afraid of being left behind. So my friends that I had, my three closest friends at the time, they were all married and they were all having babies, and I felt so left out. They never made me feel that way. It was on me. It was all on me, and I felt left behind. And this guy, well, he had a little 4-year-old little girl from a previous marriage, and I'm like, yes, it's a built-in family. It's perfect. I will just be able to jump right in, and we're just going to do all this family stuff and mom stuff together, and that was what was going in my head. So I remember one time he and so this is in the Austin area, and I was coming home from the Austin area and from a date with him, and I remember hearing the Lord. I don't usually hear the Lord's voice, but I swear to you, this was a very audible message from the Lord, and I heard him say, "He's not the one for you." And I was like, yeah, he is. Like, what are you talking about? I verbally was having an argument with God in my car. Verbal argument. I started speaking back, yes, he is God. He is a Christian, and he is the guy for me. And the Lord said it one more time again. He said, he's not the one for you. Clear and plain as day as you are hearing my voice, I heard the Lord say that to me. But I was so driven, and I say driven, okay? The Lord leads and the devil drives. And I was so driven by fear that I went on with that. I decided I'm going to marry him anyways. But it was very ugly. My mom and my family, they saw right through him, and they were trying to, he reminds me of your father, Brandolyn, and blah, blah, blah. And I would not hear it. I would not hear it. I dug my feet into the ground, even to the point where I was telling my mother, well, you don't even have to come to the wedding. I dug my feet in the ground. And of course, we ended up having the wedding. But I'm going to say this. I knew deep in my heart, deep in my spirit, and in my soul that I would not admit that day, but I knew he was not the one for me, and I knew I should not have married him. But my pride kept me doing it. I went through with it because of pride. I'd already made this huge fuss in front of my family and friends. There was no way I could not go through with this. Like, it was pride. But I knew I shouldn't have done it. I'm going to say very early on, it turned ugly very fast. He started controlling me, starting being manipulative, and he was starting to isolate me. So that's kind of a key thing. Like, that needs to be a red flag. So here's what he would do. He would say that we would go to church together, my church, and he would say things like, if she's such your best friend, then why is she not talking to you? Why didn't she come over and say hi? Why is she not sitting with us? Blah, 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 blah. Anything. If your mother is such great, then why is she not doing this? Why is she not saying that? Like, always trying to bring division between me and the people that I loved. That's a red flag. So that's why I'm telling you these stories, because if you're experiencing this, you also need to know the red flags. I did not have a grid to go by, meaning I didn't have any examples. I never had a good functional marriage to go by. I never knew what a good man looked like. Okay. And I had in the few guys that were good that were in my past, I didn't even know what to do with them because I was so ate up with rejection and fear and all those daddy issues that go along with that. Okay. So anyway, so it turns ugly fast. And those are the things he started doing. Then, so after the manipulation and the controlling and the isolating, then comes the verbal abuse. He would say things to me that made me feel so shameful. He would say things to me that made me feel so ugly. Like, just hateful things. Hateful things. Just out of nowhere, just kind of just crazy hateful things. And then guess what else? Then the physical abuse started. He never full out hit me or punched me or anything like that. But it was pushing me. It was at one time, I remember walking off from a fight and he kicked me in the back as I was walking off, and that hurt. I remember at one time we were fighting and he picks up a screwdriver and he put it to my neck. Like, oh, I'm going to kill you. And I just remember thinking, oh, this is Satan. It could have gotten a lot uglier had I stayed. Okay. But I'm going to say this. Out of all of the darkness and all of the craziness, and even it was disobedience. I mean, let's just be honest. That was 100% disobedience that I went against what the Lord said. Verbally heard the Lord say he's not the one for you, and I do it anyways, okay? Guilty. We all do it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you don't, but I did. So, but I'm going to say, but God never left me. In the darkest times, I remember also hearing the Lord tell me, don't ask him about that. Don't ask him about this. And when I would go against what the Lord said, and I would go ahead and I'm going to righteously ask him about this because I had a right to know, a huge fight would break out, and it was worse. It was bad. But when I shut my mouth, and I obeyed the Lord, it was a lot more calm and peace. Listen to the Lord. Listen to the Holy Spirit. That's what he's there for, as a counselor and a guide and your guidance counselor, really. The Lord sees all things. We have tunnel vision of what we see, right? But the Lord sees the whole picture. He foresaw me asking him, why is there $55 in quarters in your console of your truck? Well, because he was breaking into vending machines. And the Lord told me, don't ask him about those quarters. And I did, and it was a huge fight. It was ugly. It got really bad. I did it anyway. So even in the darks, even in the darkest time of your life, the Lord's light will shine. Just ask him. Just ask him. Okay, so we're moving on. And what happens next? Well, he cheats on me. Imagine that. He keeps going to all these clubs and hanging out and going to these bars, and he ends up cheating on me. Yep. So, but honestly, you know, I don't even remember how I found out. I think I ended up calling some random number on our phone bill. Remember back when they would list numbers that you called, and I called it and I asked for him, and then he came to the phone. It was some girl's number. It was crazy. Anyway, that's how I kind of found out that he was cheating on me. And honestly, I was kind of a little relieved, because I was always brought up, you know, in my new Christian faith, that infidelity was that's the only way you get a divorce, is if he cheats on you. And I was like, yes, get out. Gave me my ticket. So I really wasn't even all that upset. It was devastating because it was still a marriage, you know, and I think my pride was more hurt than anything else. It was, I was kind of relieved that he did. I got to get out of hell, and that's kind of what it felt like, a ticket out of hell. So divorce was inevitable. I was like, yep. We didn't have children, so it wasn't hard to get a divorce. You know, there was really nothing to separate, so it was really quick and easy and painless at that point. But you know, what if you're in this situation? Do you get a divorce or do you not get a divorce? Maybe you have children, and that's hard. That is a hard question. And I'm going to say this, that is only between you and God. If there's infidelity in the house, I mean, again, that's between you and God. You can't stay and ask God to intervene and ask God to help. I believe God can do all things. He is God. He is King above kings and Lord above lords, and He is God. He can do miracle things with people. Wait till you hear my husband's testimony. It is phenomenal what God does in people. Okay? But you know, what if you have children? I mean, here's some things to think about. What are you teaching your children by staying? Maybe he's not cheating on you, but he's abusive. Maybe he's verbally abusive. He's not physical abusive. Maybe he's sexually abusive in the bedroom and the kids don't even see it or not. What are you teaching them? I'm going to say, remember, I was raised in a household where there was constant fighting all the time. Constant fighting all the time. And fighting in front of your children, they lose their security. They lose their safe place. Sometimes you're going to have to love people from afar. As any good parent, the Lord would never want you to stay in a situation where you are being abused. Never. Never. And remember, just because when you're being abused, guess what? Your children are also being abused, because they're seeing it and they're having to deal with it. As any good parent, we don't want that. But again, that is between you and God. Everybody interprets the scriptures different. I would suggest removing yourself and the children away from the situation and loving them from afar, being safe, and keep praying, because God can do all things. Ask yourself, what are you teaching your children by staying? Remember, if it's the husband that's abusing, what are you teaching your children? That's how men treat them? That's how the boys are going to learn that's how you treat their wives? Either we mock or we mirror, one or the two. So those are some hard questions you got to decide. Those are very hard. Those are my red flags that I wish I would have taken heed with, and so that's my story. And you know what? I got a lot of deliverance from that marriage. I am fully 100% over it. I can talk about it with absolutely no emotion at all. It doesn't bother me to talk about it. It's not my proudest time, but I did. Hang in there, guys. Bye.